Run steep, get high. Run flat, stay low. Run the mountain, run the road. Run past the 8-stand to the commode. Oh, run steep, get high. Run flat, stay low. One stream, two guys. Mountain Outpost. Now here's your host.
Woo! Welcome to Mountain Outpost podcast number 16. I'm your co-host Jam, and I'm with
your boy Skizzle Fresh, Schuyler Hall, the one who, for the first time in podcast history, was not the reason that we were late. So
I think I've been
job.
the reason before, so pretty certain of that. But yeah, wait, what is daylight savings?
Yeah, so for those of you not keeping track at home, Arizona is one of, I believe, 2 or 3 states that does not observe daylight savings time. So for Jamil, the podcast recording gets pushed up an hour earlier in his day, but I forgot to remind him of that. So yeah, here we are, an hour late. His normal time, pre-daylight savings time switch, hour later for the rest of us. So
yeah, that means next week I get to be early. So this is going to be exciting stuff. Get to end my Tuesdays a little bit earlier than expected. It'll be good stuff. Anyways,
you get an extra hour on the tread, so you're fine.
You do or I do?
You do.
Oh,
you have a treadmill? Come on.
Am I on the tread? All right, I'm back on the tread. Is anyone in the chat? Do we have anyone listening? I think I saw it pop up.
It definitely did.
Oh, there we go. Yep. There, it's coming in. Okay. For some reason, I'm not seeing it come up on my TV anymore. But we'll do our best to try and get the chat going. I might just have to look on the phone. Anyways, we're back. We had oh, there we go. Now it's on there. Yay. Sweet. Yeah, back in the studio. We pulled a little clever trick on you guys last week. So thanks for bearing with us. I did not want to reveal that I was in Tennessee last week and getting ready for the Barkley. We're sworn to secrecy, so we can't say anything. In reality, yeah, we're just trying to cut down on. Laz wants to cut down on spectators in the park for the Barkley, so we got to be hush hush about when it's happening. I thought it was actually kind of fun, just keeping the secret from the world. And did you see much out there in advance, Schuyler?
I did not. I had several messages after the conch was blown that was like, how could we have been so dumb to not piece it together? I said I was going for a work trip, which actually almost did happen. That was not a complete lie. I almost did have to travel for work. And we were also hosting our first track meet. So my schedule was all sorts of jacked up last week as well. But yeah, once the conch was blown in the wee hours of the morning, I had several messages to wake up to that were just mind blown. But we appreciate you guys hanging out with us. And I don't know what the hell we're going to do next year. We're going to have to come up with something way more sophisticated. This might be how we soap opera it. I end up in a coma or something, and then it's just we'll have to get weird. So,
or we'll have maybe we'll. No, we can't do a pre-recorded. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Brian McDermott says I woke up to Keith Dunn's tweet, had no clue, and that's basically what we thought would happen. Keith normally starts sprinkling out little things, or people that show up, they put their bib photo or something on Instagram the day before and say they're gearing up, and it's just everyone was quiet this year. It was kind of cool. It was a weird year out there. It was noticeably quieter in camp. Only one crew was allowed per runner. Quite a few runners had no crew. There was a very small amount of media this year. There was there's an HBO team, and there was one other guy, and I think that was it. So it was quiet in camp. They didn't even put the license plates up. It's very old school feeling. So it was nice. It was a really good vibe. It was really relaxed. I got a lot of sleep in the 2 days before the race. I flew out there and got 12 hours in a hotel room, and then got 12 hours in camp the next night. So that was awesome. I went off caffeine. It's pretty exciting stuff. So that was kind of the intro.
Cool. And we're going to dive into everything in great depth tonight. So hold those questions for just a little bit so we can keep up with them, because we know that a lot of folks in the live chat definitely have a large interest in how your entire trip went, but especially the 2 loops that you spent out there. And if you're not joining us live in the chat and listening to us later, Tuesdays online on the Mountain Outpost YouTube channel, you can join us in the future for other fun topics that might include other dumb stuff that we do. I don't know. TBD. So let me hammer through the usual stuff that we do at the top of the show, and then we'll just spend the entire back half on Barkley. Does that seem amenable?
Great. Yep.
Cool. All right. So first and foremost, before I even get into the Run Flat News story or stories of the week, because we have 2 weeks worth to catch up on, I'd be remiss if I didn't just get all of the bummers that have occurred in the last 2 weeks out up top. Literally, we recorded the show 2 Tuesdays ago. After the show, me and Jamil were talking about, we're like, oh, we gotta talk about Robert Rhodes on the next episode. And then literally, as he was filming Outhouse News, and like I got all the messages Thursday morning, we lost a great legend of the Bay Area scene, race director Robert Rhodes. So I would sort of implore you to watch the Outhouse News about him and just like go through all of the outpouring of support and posts from everyone he touched, not just in the Bay Area, but in the broader ultra community. So huge loss there. And then just like broadly, here in America, it's kind of been a weird time. So, we obviously had the mass incident in Atlanta. So I think I speak for both of us when I say, we want to show our support for the AAPI community, runners or not. That's a crime against one is a crime against all. And then obviously what happened in Boulder yesterday. Boulder, obviously a huge running community, but also just a very tight-knit community for that entire population. And the incident that happened there was incredibly tragic and senseless, but also we know that it directly impacted the running community. Literally, Maggie Montoya, who runs with the Roots Running Group, is a pharmacist at that store and was in the facility at the time of the incident. So just showing our support to everybody in that community that I'm sure is still reeling from the events, and hope that we can, over the next hour and change, provide a little bit of levity, make things a little bit disappear into the background for just a brief moment. And ultimately, as we continue to move forward, we talk about running being an inclusive community, and this is a chance to really show support for those that in all of these communities, both geographic, demographic, and etc. So boom, bummers out the way.
Absolutely. Thank you, Schuyler.
Let's move the bummers out of the room. Let's get to the fun stuff. So Run Flat News, been a crazy past couple weeks. Let's hammer through a bunch of the things that are happening in the flatter world, and then we'll turn our attention to ultras and the news of the day there. So we did a couple weeks ago, a bunch of talking points around the NCAA championships, both the indoors and the cross country championships. Indoor scene, the Arkansas women crushed it. It was yet another title for them, coming back late in the team scoring to overtake Texas A&M and win yet another title. I think the women were undefeated over the course of like 850 days in terms of team competition, both in track and cross country. The Oregon men just demolished the field. We obviously saw Cole Hocker. I'm sure folks saw videos on YouTube because the NCAA was nice enough to put all these videos up on YouTube for you to watch. But Cole Hocker with the double mile and 3K championship. And then Wesley Kiptoo won the 5K, just like wire to wire, just soloed the whole thing. On the women's side, a lot of great action. You had the BYU DMR team kicking down and like barely winning. Athing Mo lost a race for the first time this entire collegiate season, basically, but then came back and split the fastest time in a 400 meter ever on the 4x4 to give Texas A&M that 4x4 victory. So a lot of great storylines. And then, so that happened over the weekend. And then on that Monday, you had the cross country championships. You had a couple dozen folks doubling back. And the women like excelled. For those who had done either like the DMR, the 3K, the 5K, those who came back were nuts. There was like the woman from Air Force took fourth, I believe, in the 5K on Friday, and then comes back and takes fourth in the cross country championships over 6K on Monday. 10 women overall were all Americans in both indoor and cross country. 6 men pulled off the same feat, but the BYU women crushed it. I wholeheartedly tell folks, go watch that women's 6K video, because Mercy Chalangat just like cruises the last K, and behind her was just mayhem. Like you literally see runners falling, getting up, stumbling to the side, falling again. It looked like the end of an ultra, but if like it was a mass finish at an ultra, it was just disastrous. There were teams who had runners who
Oh, sorry. Yeah, we lost him, guys. My bad. We'll see if we can get him back in. Yeah, not sure what happened to Schuyler. Hopefully he knows he's gone and he's not just talking to no one. So yeah, he was talking about the NCAAs. Mitchell McLaughlin in the chat. We'll just answer some questions in the chat until Schuyler gets back. Mitchell McLaughlin, wait, so does Barkley happen this time of year every year? I was so surprised. This time kind of fast when Laz was pulling. Yeah, it was definitely early. Schuyler, you back? Okay, yeah, exactly. We've learned now. I need to get you that permanent link so that you'll just like pop back in. And should be back. All right.
All right. Cool.
So picking it back up.
Women were falling all over each other. That's what I was told was the last thing that I was.
Yes, exactly.
Cool.
Yeah.
But ultimately, just go watch the race. It's a solid 23 minutes. That's well worth your time as you're stretching post-run. On the men's side, NAU, very dominant performance, led by freshman Nico Young in 4th place. And they went up against a very surprising and strong Notre Dame team, which in any other year probably would have won if NAU had not been so dominant and had 4 guys in the top 16. So great team race on the men's side. Connor Mance, he was in it and then he was not in it. And then he just rallied back over the last 2K to take the win for him in the BYU squad. So shout out to them. That's the NCAAs in a nutshell. The big news for outdoor was that the field sizes were cut. Typically, there are 48 folks who go to the West Regional and the East Regional. That's being slashed to 32. There's a huge uproar about what that means for development of track programs writ large. It's a lot of back and forth, but that conversation will be occurring for the next 2 months. So we'll delve into that. But if you saw that headline, that's what that's about. Turn our attention to the pros and the roads. Road racing is back, baby. So the U.S. 15K champs were this past weekend. Emily Sisson, yep, New Balance athlete, just won it wire to wire. If you watch that video, she gapped the field in the first 200 meters and literally did not look back. Won by over a minute in 48:09. She beat Lindsay Flanagan, who was in second, 49:14, and then Emily Durgan, who has the whitest teeth in all of distance running, was third in 49:29, the Under Armour athlete. I say that because after the race, she then put up a story on Instagram where she was basically hawking the whitening that she uses on the road. So that explains a lot. I respect, if you're going to be an influencer, Own it. So that happened on the women's side. On the men's side, Clayton Young for the win, 43.52. It was a lot more packed on the men's side. You basically had the top 10 within sort of like 15 seconds of each other. You had Bias and Bassa was in second. Shadrick Cheer was in third. They almost all knocked down the dude who's trying to hold the finish line banner, because for whatever reason, he's like, the person ran through, let me step forward instead of obviously stepping back, because they're all going to try to run through the banner. And he's like, no, I'm going to run into the line. It was dumb. That guy, he almost got lit up. He almost got full Terry Tated. So shout out to the 15K champs for the U.S. at Great River Run, because you can do anything in the state of Florida. And then in the broader road racing world, Boston announced that they are going to have a field size of 20,000. No idea what the hell that means for the entry times. I'm sure we're going to hear a lot about, if I knew that I needed to run 5 minutes under my BQ time, then like I would have done that. I think this one's going to, right? Yeah, this is going to be a little difficult. Folks are really good at just clearing whatever bar is set in front of them. We see this when it comes to, trial standards and Olympic standards. It's like, hey, whatever time is out there, like folks will work to just clear that bar, because it'll then get them into whatever race they're looking for.
Well, it's like the same thing as 24 hour in 100 miles too.
Yep.
Like you'll see like Javelina, there's like 30 people within the last 15 minutes right before, and there'll be like 3 people in the whole next hour.
Yep. Yeah. So I think we're going to hear a lot about what the cutoffs will look like. The entry window where everyone can submit their registration is, I believe, April 21st through 23rd or something like that. So
I think it starts the 20th, but I thought it was a bigger window than that, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, I gotta go back and look at mine.
I think it's like a 2-week window. It's not first come first serve. It's just based upon your time, so you don't have to rush it. But
yeah, drop it in, and
drop it in the mail.
What happens?
Postmark it.
Yeah, it's gonna be nuts. It's 10,000 people less than usual. It's kind of unclear how many will be charity runners. It's a whole thing. Not super clear communication.
So normally 30,000 is the field
typically
size.
Yep, 30,000-ish. I think last year, the last running of it, it had bumped up to like 33,000 for a special occasion. But yeah, for the most part, we're losing a third of the field. So it was all ready for 2020. You had to be, I think it was like a minute and 40 seconds or something underneath the qualifying standard for your age group. And that was at 30,000. So
do some math.
We'll figure out what happens there. And other road racing news and things coming back. Peachtree is coming back for the 4th of July weekend. So if you're in the greater Georgia area and you want to throw down with you and many thousands of your friends, you can do that. And then, we're also turning our attention to Tokyo in the Olympics. They announced that there are going to be no foreign spectators. So it is what it is. We still haven't gotten a ruling on what USA trials are going to look like, if they're going to have spectators or not. Tickets haven't gone on sale yet. But if you were looking for a free reason to go to Japan, I guess probably not really free because you got to pay for tickets and whatnot. That's out the window for you. So that's that. That's Run Flat news in a nutshell. There's some Run Steep news. I think the big one that we need to touch on and people have been asking about are the Western States lottery changes. Jamil, do you want to tackle that?
I like your poster, by the way.
Thank you.
Actually, a new addition?
Yes, it's a new addition to the set right now. But it actually was created for my run at Boston in 2019.
Nice.
So just running past, and there, all the 4 people in that race who knew who the hell I was like, that's a good time. So that's cool. But yeah, so we kept it, and here it is.
Great. Yeah. Awesome.
So all these people who 2 ferns, that's what you're getting for now until I get the other setup going.
Nice.
Give the people.
Well, let's see. Western States, they announced 2 things. So the first one, I think, was just a tweet. The first one was that the international runners can defer to 2022 without penalty. You can save your spot and roll it over. And they say that's due to vaccine rollout and travel restrictions. So you can just, I guess it didn't seem like there was a deadline at any time. Anyone international who's not domestic US. So it doesn't apply if you're domestic. I guess figure your stuff out. They assume you can get vaccinated. They assume you can get to the start line. It's not an option for you. And so international runners can defer and they'll pull from the wait list. And that's that piece. And then the other piece is the significant change to the lottery process. So basically, how Western States has worked is every single year between the qualifying window, you have to run a Western States qualifier. And then you apply for the lottery. And then you do that again next year. But you have to keep doing it every year consecutively, or you lose all of your cumulative tickets. So you get another ticket every year for applying. So this incentivizes people, like, you got to get no matter what, you have to run a Western States qualifier. That pressure is now lifted because their newest rule is that you can now hold on to your tickets. So it's not retroactive to people that prior to the most recent lottery lost your tickets for whatever reason, like you were injured or something else. They started making some strides on this. So they did a couple things. There's a pregnancy deferral. So you wouldn't be penalized if you became pregnant or had that as an issue. You could use that and not lose your tickets. They would roll. And then there was also a one-time special, I forget what they call it, but it's a buy, like a lottery buy. You can use it one time in your lifetime, and then you save your tickets for 1 year. Now everyone has unlimited buys and pregnancy deferrals, and like you can use it as the same thing because you never lose your tickets from now on. So those that did go through the most recent lottery, as long as you run a Western States qualifier and you apply in the lottery this December, I think was when it usually is, you'll keep all your tickets you had before and you'll keep working your way up. And even if you skip and don't apply the following year, you're good. Everyone else, and the former pregnancy deferrals and the one-time buys, those are good as well. Everyone else just goes to zero. Like if you missed a year, whatever, it doesn't matter. You're at zero and you start from there. I was reading some commentary on this from Joe Yuhan, and he's been very critical of the Western States Lottery. He had a Twitter thread, and he says this solves a lot of issues he had with the lottery. I mean, it's a lot more forgiving. It doesn't force people, like you're so committed, like you have to do your Western States qualifier every single year, even if you're injured or family or life or something comes up. There's not this like kind of like dread that you have to go run 100-miler or 100K or whatever, like fit it in when it's not convenient or conducive to your overall health or life plans or anything. Now it's like, it's okay. Like, fine. Don't need to do it this year. I think it also relieves people from having to apply every single year to the Western States Lottery. You don't lose your tickets now. That's great. Like you don't have to be forced to apply every year, which is like artificially inflated. I think that like this is one argument. It artificially inflates the number of people that apply to Western States. I don't know if in practice people will choose to not apply because you still do accumulate more tickets and it still does help you, but then you are forced, like if you get drawn, you do have to run it. So I would imagine some people would skip some years for various reasons. So, and also if you have a reason that you can't or don't want to run a Western States qualifier, you'll be pulled out of the lottery pool. I believe, well, actually, no, you could still apply with the number of tickets you have. So anyways, that's kind of the rundown. It seems like some people like it. The counter argument to this is, well, now everyone keeps their tickets, so there's going to be more tickets and more people. You know, you can't like catch people. You know, they don't qualify for 1 year and they lose all the tickets. They're kind of like get back of the line. You know, so yeah, we'll see how it's just like the Boston thing. We don't yet know the true ramifications of this. We do know it is going to change the trajectory. It could mean similar number of applicants. It could mean more. It could mean less year to year. Overall, I think it's better. Like it seems more fair and I don't know. What do you think?
The interesting
flexibility.
Yeah, I think, there are any number of reasons. International athletes, folks who take new jobs, folks who have life plans, starting families, if even obviously there's a whole host of issues for women that this makes a ton of sense for. And that's why the pregnancy deferral came into play to begin with. And I think that postpartum there, women sometimes bounce back and do incredible things. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer. But even for new fathers who might be, sleep deprived as well in those first 4 to 6 months, I think that this is helpful to those folks as well from a sustainability standpoint. The interesting thing for me is actually going to be what happens with the wait list. If the wait list is somehow going to be larger, because folks can, if they drop out before 1 p.m. the day before the race, which I think the significance is that's the hard cap. That's the last time that somebody can come off the wait list is 1 p.m. before the runners meeting, which means that we might end up with 11 or 12 people just chilling at the cabin at the resort being all right, in the last 15 minutes, I might all of a sudden happen there. So it might end up with more waitlisted people hanging out at the start line the day before in hopes of running. So it'll be interesting to see how far down the wait list we go and what shenanigans happen in the last, the true 11th hour.
Just for the rollovers and the travel and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Immediately this year. Yeah. That makes sense. Cool.
So I'm sure you'll delve into it more on Outhouse News and people have.
Yeah. I mean, we probably went into it way more. I think I was pretty high level because there just seems like there's so many stories now that it's just crazy. Yeah. It's every week I'm there's 30 stories that I'm trying to fit into this. So.
And hey, hold on. If folks have one that they want to plug either for this or for Outhouse News, that's when you hop in the Discord and it's linked somewhere. It's either on this video or on Outhouse News, but it's just an open chat room of sorts.
It's an online chat community, and it's part of the overarching Aravaipa Running Discord. And there's all kinds of different rooms we've built in there. So there's some general Aravaipa stuff. There's a run memes one, which is getting pretty popular already. It's probably the most popular one, of course. Then there are a couple Mountain Outpost ones. There's an Outhouse News. So if you have a news story you want to drop in or comment in there, and there's a Mountain Outpost podcast one. So if you want to chat about this show, and we'll likely be doing we've been talking about either doing some pre or post private chats on there, surrounding this podcast. Maybe it'd probably not be this week, but maybe in the future. We can also do some live video chats, and we're going to test out some other stuff. So it should be fun because it'd be cool to see your guys' faces maybe. Yeah, be good.
Yeah. I'll stop there. I've made my feelings known about anybody who saw me on Twitter this weekend knows that I went on a short little rant about anonymous stupidity on the internet again, which I've already delved to on this podcast. So I'm not going to rehash it, but if you're shitty, we're going to call you out for being shitty. So no need to harass college athletes. And also women should have the same weight room as men. I don't know why these issues keep popping up, but beer time. Sorry.
It is beer time. Discord, asking for the Discord link. I don't know how to get it. Let's see. Copy the link. I don't know if you can share a link in a YouTube comment though. I might have to just tweet it out later or something.
We'll tweet it. We'll drop it in the description of this video.
We'll definitely drop it in after. Let's see.
And while you're already kicking around the YouTube,
I tried to pop it in there. It may get canceled.
While you're kicking around the YouTube, just hit that subscribe button and then like this video, and we'll be good. Help us help you. All right, beer time, and then we gotta talk Barkley. So, what are you sipping on, good sir?
Yeah, so our new producer, editor, videographer for Aravaipa, Dylan Harris. He just started with us. He's awesome. He got me a little gift coming back from Barkley, and this is a local, the Shop Beer Co. I think you're familiar.
Mm-hmm.
This is Church Music IPA. So
I respect it.
It almost looks like the shoe design for the Under Armour shoes. You know what I'm talking about?
I do know exactly.
Or
what
no,
you're
not
talking
Under
about.
Armour. The Craft.
Yep.
The new Craft
Yeah.
shoes.
I have the No Sleep Till Oakland with some crane action happening on here. It's from Oakland United Beer Works in collaboration with Bicycle Coffee. So two very local establishments coming together to make greatness in a can. So cheers, sir.
Cheers. We're drinking local.
Pretty much always drink local. Unless I'm DJing for like 7 hours, then it's like, let me just keep the most piss beer option possible because I got to stay sober enough to do a good job DJing. And it's spring now, so we're getting weird on those DJ sets on the weekend. Come on out, fly out to the Bay Area. We'll accept you. I love when Jamil tries to dance. It's always.
I'm thinking about flying out
happy.
to the Bay Area soon, so we'll talk about that in post show.
Oh, okay. My people call your people. All right, it's time for the big topic of the day. You, sir, you're a Barkley competitor, and you made the trip out.
Yeah.
You made the trip on out. So obviously, very few people ahead of time when Barkley was. Pretty much everybody knew that you were going to run it, obviously. But just tell me about the setup. What was different this year? COVID restrictions, not a lot of international folks able to come over. But just in your lead up and your preparation before the race ever starts, before the conch is ever blown, what was different for you this year versus previous years?
Yeah, biggest things, COVID restrictions. I mean, yeah, for a while we weren't sure if it was going to happen. Obviously got canceled last year, kind of last minute. But yeah, they found a way forward for the event this year. They had additional restrictions in place. So they did have 4 crews. Every runner was allowed 1 crew. Normally you can have more than 1. They still like it to be somewhat limited. I can't remember if they put an exact number on it in past years, but it seems to like keep getting smaller. They're like 2 crew per person. That's okay. Maybe 2 crew and a child or something, or if you have your family, or like they can come in to see you finish, or anyways. So it was restricted. 1 crew per runner, and the crew had to have a COVID passport. So what is a COVID passport? That means that you have had COVID, like positive COVID test, you've had it, and it was long enough ago where you've then since recovered, or you have to be fully vaccinated. So in camp, the runners, like myself as a participant, did not have to have a COVID passport. Although, as you guys learned on the show, I think we talked about it.
Mm-hmm.
I got my first shot 2 weeks ago now. Yeah, it was like the day of the show, wasn't it?
Yep.
Yeah. So arm was super sore, by the way, for like the whole week. So thankfully it wasn't too close to the race. But yeah, and we got like red or green badges if you were, depending on your level of immunity, which was pretty funny. But they had a doctor there assessing and checking your vaccine cards. So I told them I got my vaccine 8 days prior, and they're like, "You're a red badge, no go," which just means got to mask up and do all the things. Not a huge deal. The camp was very low key and spread out. Laz didn't hang up his license plates. The check-in was like all day, which I loved. So I think I slept until 11 a.m. the morning of check-in, and it had been going since 9 or something. So all the stuff was in the packets. Like it was actually put together in little packets, and the map was out. The map is normally revealed the day before the race. So, but sometimes it doesn't show up until he puts the license plates up, and then he starts checking people in, and then the map goes out like the afternoon, and it's like, it becomes very frantic and stressful. So only a couple of us could be around the map at one time. They put like an air purifier in the bathroom, in the bathrooms. They had a couple portable restrooms they brought in. Those were the main things in camp. It was a much smaller crowd. I think only 35 people started the race. So smaller field size, 1 crew. A lot of people had no crew, including Courtney and others. That was the main gist of that.
I feel like I saw you or I saw a photo of you with a large U-Haul behind you. Did you go with the I'm going to sleep in the back of a storage van situation again, or what was your long-term plan if you needed to stash away?
Real quick, I don't want to ignore the chat because there is a
Yeah.
lot of chitter chatter already. We expected this. There's a lot of chatter around this other YouTube, I guess a YouTube content creator that was out filming at the race, and he was asked by the race to pull his video down. We will talk about this later in the show. I would like to give my perspective a little bit later, but I want to give focus on the race and the athletes because it has turned into a bit of a controversy. So we will get to it. So I just love to give my perspective. So back to the planning and stuff.
Yep.
I had plans to rent like a little camper van off of Outdoorsy, little app. But the one I eyed that I liked that was in Knoxville, the people that owned it had just sold it and they were building a new van and wasn't ready. So I ended up going with the U-Haul van again, just the cargo van. The one hack that I added this year was renting a set of the furniture pads that they rent from U-Haul. And it's basically like 6 of these soft pads made from recycled denim. They're all clean and pre-bagged up. And that became like, I just put 4 of those out, and that was my sleeping pad basically inside the van. So
respect.
Yeah. Good times.
All right. So listen, every year you're getting better at this planning thing. Cause I've seen some times where you were like, oh, I'm at Target, just like getting all the socks I needed because I didn't pack any. So
I mean, I definitely hit up like REI and some other stores locally, but you kind of have to do that. The race doesn't supply any aid stations. So you have to bring all your own food and nutrition, and you never know what you're going to need. You got to plan for 5 loops worth of stuff because you want to be optimistic. So you don't want to, if you don't have it, you're going to be screwed. So yeah, that's the plan.
All right. So the conch blows. Where are you at? What are you doing? Are you asleep?
Well, before that, the forecast, by the way, when we arrived, it was beautiful. It's just,
of course it was
amazing, clear, calm, no wind. And then the rain starts up right around sunset. And it was supposed to pour. There were like tornadoes in some of the surrounding states. And it dumped for hours from like 8 p.m. And inside that cargo van with no insulation, it's just like hitting and hammering and the sound is ricocheting. So I wasn't getting any sleep. I tried to lay down maybe around 9 o'clock, and he could blow the conch at 11 and we could be off running by midnight. So I was like, I was feeling a little nervous this year. Not as relaxed as I would have liked. Maybe because I was like so alert from all the sleep I got the 2 nights before, but laying there, and then I would get up to go to the bathroom, and I would look up, and Laz is still up at the tent I'm in the campsite, like 2 campsites away. I look up there, the lights are all on. Laz is up there. You hear voices. There's like a camera, the HBO camera crew. I see like a guy with the boom mic, like standing. And I was like, it's like 11 p.m. It's like, why are they up at 11? This is not good. So then I'm laying awake, hearing the rain rattling. And it's like, then I get up like every hour, and it's like at midnight, they're still up. And at 1, they're still up. And then I might have dozed off. And then I hear like a bang from my crew on the door of the van. And it's like, he blew the conch. It was like 2:05 a.m. It's like, oh my God. Like probably got 15 minutes of sleep, and here we go. It's the rain actually surprisingly just let up right at 2 a.m. And like, so we all got prepared, and it wasn't raining on us. We walk up to get our watches, and it's a pocket watch, an analog flip. You press the little button, it flips open, and you just have like this analog clock. Has a It's made of metal. It's got like a whole silver chain attached to it. Like you would clip it on your belt and like pull it out of your pocket and look at it. It was something else. So that was just another additional challenge this year is like, you have to put this pocket watch in your pack, and to find out what time it is on the loop, you've got to pull this whole thing out, flip it open and read the analog time. So, but yeah, right at 3:00, I forget if it was 3:04 or 3:06 or something. We set off into the darkness, and it was a warm morning. Like, this was not a cold rain. It was very humid and tropical feeling. Like I was in just a t-shirt, and there were rivers flowing down the trail as we were hiking up Bird Mountain. One of the saddest stories of the day is we're like going up the switchbacks, and Peter Mortimer, he's an Arizonan, and all of a sudden Peter Mortimer just like runs past us, and he's just kind of mumbles like, I don't have my bib. I don't know my bib number. And like, it didn't really register with me. I was like, what? It's like, you have to know what you get a bib every lap, and that's the page you tear out of the books. It corresponds with the page number. So he apparently didn't look at it or didn't have it. So I went back to camp. And of course, like, you're not really allowed to retrieve anything from camp once you leave. So I don't really know how that was going to work out for him. I think he just ran in and got it and ran right back out and didn't talk to anyone. And they were kind of like, what? Like, what just happened? And he ended up being, on his own as a virgin, and ended up, I think he never got a single book page. He ended up way off by this church that was like not even close to the course. So feel really bad for him. It's like a nightmare scenario as a virgin at the Barkley. It's like, it's one of those tales that you can't make up. It's so wild. But yeah, so we just start going and going around the course. It's dark, it's raining. There's some fog up top, but it's fun. I mean, it's the Barkley, it's amazing. And start navigating and basically like leading a bunch of other people through lap one.
Yeah, let's talk about that, because a lot of press on social media was firing back and forth when it was revealed like who was comprised that group. So, obviously Courtney was there, Maggie was there. How much of that was sort of pre-planned? How much of it was just sort of like happenstance, and you're like, well, we're here now, and everybody's like, Jamil's done this a crap load of times, let's just follow him. Walk us through if there was a conversation, sort of how that conversation played out, and then how you all sort of worked together through that first loop.
Yeah. I would say going into it, I was going to run my own race. Obviously with Courtney and Maggie there, like, I'm really good friends with them. So the chance to run with them, definitely, I wouldn't turn it down, if they're in, and they're both really strong. I mean, they're stronger than me, especially this year. So, it wasn't a problem of them keeping up with me by any means. And, so yeah, but it wasn't really pre-planned out. And I remember dropping off from book one, and people, started going every which way. And maybe backtrack a little bit. Normally there's a really good mix. How they comprise the field is it's a good mix of veterans and virgins. So, people usually link up with one another, and it's important for the veterans to kind of teach the virgins and the people coming in about the course and about how it works. And it becomes this like legacy of information that is passed down between people. And that's just part of the unique nature of this race. I learned it from Alan Abbs, and he learned it from someone before him and before him and before him. And then I've taught, I remember teaching like John Kelly a bunch of stuff his first year, and other people. So it's a really cool thing, and it bonds you together. And it becomes a bit of a game sometimes. Like if a veteran's trying to drop a virgin, scrape them, like, because you kind of want to be free and not have to have people like that you have to worry about sometimes, like hanging on to you. So it's an interesting dynamic of it. But there was this like actually a great group, a really awesome pack that formed. It was Courtney and Maggie and Liz Canty, Scott Martin, Wes Thurman. Wait, I'm going to look like a dumbass. Frank Gonzalez, I believe. It was an awesome group. So it was great. And I think we nailed most of the navigation, but we were just slow. Like we came in from that first loop in 10:45, and I did it 2 years ago in 8:40. So 2 hours slower. It was sloppy. It was slow because of the wet conditions. And we're just, even Jared and Luke, I mean, they were 10:20 for their first lap. I mean, those are really not fast times for, maybe you would expect to lose a little bit of time because it was dark, but for 4 or 5 hours, but it's very slow.
Is it more so a function of like the sloppiness of the footing, or was it fog? I mean, I'm sure it's a mix of these things,
Yes.
but what would you attribute most of it to? Yeah. What would you attribute most of it to? Is it just straight up like, oh, I'm putting my foot 3 feet ahead of me, but I'm only getting an actual foot each step?
I mean, I think for me, when I look back at my true training in 2020, it was abysmal. It was really bad. And then getting the injury right around Javelina 100, I lost additional ground and I just never really made it up. You know, having like 1 or 2 good weeks of training this year, it wasn't enough to make amends for just the consistent loss of volume. And I was just out of shape overall for the effort. A lot of the people I was with were very in shape. And so I think that, especially for me, you know, I wasn't able to do my normal downhill runs. Like it was a little bit sloppier, but I was also like using my poles a lot to take a little bit of strain off my body, especially I think coming down Ratcha, I started to notice my quads getting a little bit sore. And normally I would be able to handle that a lot better and just run harder on the downs. And that slowed me down a lot. So, but later on loop 2, the fog and the slippery conditions of the rain and the mud, that really slowed us down severely, on top of just being more and more tired just with the strain on the body.
Yeah. Take us sort of into the mind of the group, or at least your own mental conversation, sort of towards the tail end of loop 2. Because if I remember correctly, you guys weren't too far off of being able to make it back in time to go back out for loop 3. So what did that look like? I think, you know, the rest of the group sort of ended up finishing about like 4 or 5 minutes ahead of you. So was there this like kick to try to get to the end of loop 2 for a chance to go out of loop 3? Just like, what was that? What were the mechanics of the last stages of loop 2?
I was pretty defeated personally about halfway around loop 2, maybe around this like section called Leonard's Butt Slide. There's a book down there. That was probably the worst weather we saw that night. It was, I don't know what time it was because I wasn't checking my pocket watch in the middle of a storm really too much. But it was, you know, and a lot of us, we came through in the afternoon when it was really great weather at camp and headed back out, made a quick turnaround. The last thing I thought about was a cold storm at like midnight that was going to soak me. So, you know, I had the wrong kind of gloves. I didn't have an extra, like a couple layers, maybe a beanie that I would pack if, say, I came into camp at 6 p.m. and we were about to head into the night. I think I would have packed differently. The other kicker for me was in the rush to get out and a couple other things that happened. My lights didn't get packed in my pack. So I had to, that was like the ultimate embarrassing mistake I made this year. I hate to say it, but it was just a blunder. It was inexcusable, like that it happened. I feel really, really stupid. And I ended up, you know, sticking with the women that I was with. Basically, that's the only way I was out there is because of them. And they were kind enough to lend me their backup light, which was amazing. Otherwise I would have had to like end my lap early. So thank you to them for that. But that is a legal move. You can beg, borrow, and plead from other runners, I guess, out on the loop. Gary Robbins, I think, had a story like this once. So like you just can't return to camp and get restocked and refueled.
Mm-hmm.
So besides that, like I was just mentally defeated, I think. And it was just nasty conditions too. I mean, it was all fogged up. It was so cold. All of us were so cold. And like to the point where it's like, man, if I don't warm up soon, this could be bad. Like my hands were all my fingers were frozen. And we ended up dropping down like an elevation enough for it to be okay. But it got a little bit scary out there. And I'm not the only one that was out there thinking, man, this could get bad.
I know that, a lot of times there's that water station on top of Rat Jaw, I believe. Were the conditions such that those were frozen solid at the nighttime, or like how did that play out, since that's pretty much your only aid station, quote unquote aid station on course?
Yeah, no, like it wasn't below freezing. I mean, it wasn't snowing on us. It was just raining, but it felt like it was probably in the 30s, but then the wind chill. I mean, there was a time when we were getting blown against the side of the mountain. So they weren't frozen or anything like that. And there's one other water stop on the course, and you have to go down this little hillside. Normally it's just like a little switchback single track trail. And this was so slippery. It just turned into a mud slip and slide. And we were just like, I mean, the amount of times I fell during this race was laughable. It was probably like 20 times that I just totally fell. Everyone was slipping and sliding and falling all over the place. So it's amazing you don't get more hurt out there sometimes. But it was, it's fun. It's a lot of fun.
So
Mitchell just asked, is the weather ever nice at Frozen Head during the Barkley? Well, funny, because as soon as like it ended, like the whole weekend was beautiful. We went and did another hike on Sunday before we left town. It's like there's not a cloud in the sky, totally calm. It's like 65 degrees. It's like if it was over the weekend like it normally is, I mean, we would have had incredible conditions. He somehow knows, I guess.
So play us through the end of it all, right? So TAPS happens, you're chilling, but you're still there because all of your travel plans are banking on you finishing 5 loops. So what's the rest of the weekend like?
Yeah, I mean, mine ended so early. I mean, 27 hours I was done, and with the early start, I normally book all my stuff till the end. So but because we didn't really get much sleep before it started, I'd probably been up for 15 hours before we started going. So I was up for over 40 hours, 42 hours maybe by the time I finished. So I made the comment when I was done, I just want to go straight into a sleeping bag. And they're like, no, go take a shower, take a warm shower. There's a great bathhouse right there. So they've got really hot showers. So I just went, showered up. I literally just stood under the hot shower for probably 20 minutes. And I think I almost fell asleep 3 times. So basically I got cleaned up. I think it was like 5 a.m. when we finished. So I think that's about right. Mm-hmm. No, 27 hours would be 6 a.m. So I think as I was coming out of the shower, like maybe there was like starting to be a little bit of light. And I ate a bunch of food and I just crawled into my sleeping bag and I slept, I think, for 8 hours till the afternoon, and probably got up about an hour before Jared and Luke came in from the fun run, which was like 39 hours for them. Mm-hmm. So there was like, and then it was, have them come in, and there's a lot of people, like everyone who had ran was still kind of hanging out. So it was just catching up with people, sharing, swapping stories. A lot of our crew that was together on the first loop, we were all talking about just how we prepared for the race and everything. And it's not something that I normally experience at the Barkley, is it's like chatting it up with everyone afterwards, because I'm usually out there pretty late, like either 40 hours for a fun run or longer. And then by the time I sleep that off, people have like just deserted camp. So it was kind of nice to get to chat with everyone. And it was just a lot of eating food. It was like trying to eat as much of the food that we bought while in Tennessee before we left town.
I respect that.
Yeah.
It's just preparing for challenges at all times. So let's generalize this out slightly, and then we'll clearly take a bunch of questions from the chat. Lest we forget, this is all part of Slammed of the Damned 2.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
So you have 3 more absurd races forthcoming. The first one on the list being Cocodona in 5 weeks' time, 5.5 weeks' time. What lessons from the training block that you put up, either Barkley Boot Camp or just more broadly, are you taking as you move forward towards Cocodona and then ultimately Hard Rock? Like what are the lessons learned, and what are you hoping to, I guess, capitalize on, strengths, things that went well? And then what are you trying to switch up to make sure that you're set up for success as we approach the rest of the slam?
Yeah. I mean, I'm already thinking a year out, honestly. Like, I just want to be back out there in really good shape. But, it all starts now, and it all starts where we're at. And like taking a year-round philosophy is really what I want to do for, let's say, like a year from now. So I think it's great that I have this strong season of races coming up. And my goal, once I recover, and I've already learned that I'm not going to bounce back as quick as I think. So I was a little optimistic getting out there the last couple days, but I need to take some more time down, I think, before I go back up. But yeah, I'm just going to try and get after these events and just build some more consistent training in, I think. So I mean, this will be a great training run. That's for sure. Won't hurt.
That makes sense. I think it's time for some. Do we want to take questions from the chat, or do you want to chat about the I don't know what we want to call it, the quote unquote controversy that arose from media after the fact? I'll leave it to you how you want to play this, because I can't see the chat rooms.
Yeah, if you guys have questions in the chat about Barkley, be happy to answer them. There was the question about that. Yeah, it's been a tough thing. I mean, I guess we can talk high level about it. I don't want to get too much into this, but there are people, out there, and there's like some things flying around. But and yeah, it's tough to know where to start.
Let's just level set for those who are not deep in the YouTube content game. So, long story short is, and tell me if I'm paraphrasing this incorrectly. Okay. There was a relative, like a Tennessee local, broadly speaking, who also like happens to have a YouTube channel, who went to Frozen Head, was in the park, not a crew member, but was just like around, took some video, pieced it together, put something online, and was then later asked to pull it down by, we ultimately come to find out, is Laz and others, ? You can sort of fill in the gap there. And then it was this sort of back and forth of, well, like, is it a, like, larger YouTubers don't want this getting out, there are other media folks, so it's like, what's the rules and responsibilities, and like public lands, there's a lot of nuance that went together that caused this larger kerfuffle that your name got dragged into. So that's the 30,000 foot quick explanation. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty fair overall. I think, that's pretty accurate, I would say. So, but yeah, there was a YouTube video that was asked to be pulled down. And then there was, I think, the feeling that, there's been video posted of these same areas from previous editions. And, there's maybe people with maybe a higher view count or like a bigger subscriber base or like a Netflix level was allowed to post it. But what about, someone that's a fan of the sport and also trying to, spread the love and show people what the Barkley is all about? Like, should not everyone have equal access to that ability to share imagery from the Barkley? So yeah, I think that's a big part of it. I mean, yeah, from my perspective, like I said, I slept for a while at the race, and then I stayed unplugged, man. I didn't even turn my phone on, I think, until like a day and a half after. Maybe it was that night late. I went to go maybe try and look at changing a plane flight, but did not really connect. I just wanted to stay like kind of out there. It was just nice to unplug. So yeah, I didn't even find out until like this other video was asked to be taken down. But I will speak maybe just more broadly to even beyond Barkley too, just like media coverage at events. And maybe people probably wondering, well, like I have a video that's on my YouTube channel that has video from on the course, like of all places. The rules surrounding the Barkley evolve constantly year to year, and the guidelines for media, for spectators, for crew, they evolve all the time, and they change, and they evolve with the race. The race itself evolves. It becomes harder. Like we got pocket watches this year, and the course changes. So ultimately, it's up to the event director and the person who owns the event to decide those rules. And sometimes feedback is solicited from the broader Barkley community. That could be the community of finishers or the other staff that help pull off the race. It could be some of the participants themselves sometimes are asked things to contribute. Like so first off, like just clearing the air on if anyone's watching who's like new to what the Barkley is. Like I've been involved. I ran in 2014 for the first time. I've been there 6 times now. I have put out some videos about the event. I've always asked Laz and run it by him before I put anything out. It's his event. And to me, he should be, and it seems very important that he has the control of his event. Like I understand that as an event director as well, especially a race as high profile as the Barkley. I think when events are new and smaller, you're like come on, anyone want to come out and film my thing? Like, come on out. It's like the more the better, the more coverage is awesome. And I think that's like the majority of the sport. It's like more the merrier. Let's get more people out there filming on course. But as events like get bigger, it becomes, there's just like these intricacies that come up. And Western states, like at Forest Hill, this was a big thing. People are sprinting after the runners. Like everyone wants to get a piece of the action. And at what point are they now inhibiting the actual physical runners or their experience or the crews or just the enjoyment for others? And as races start to do more live streaming, UTMB has really cracked down on this. They're like not allowing outside media, to capture imagery, and they're live streaming the whole race now. So they have their own team that's running with the top athletes. So like you can't have all these other people like, just out there on their own accord doing things because it just doesn't work at some point. And if you look bigger at other sports, they don't allow this to even happen. Like, any sort of like professional sport would never just have like people out there doing stuff a lot of times. Like there's a lot of media rights that we're starting to get into like a whole nother realm of things. Like who has the rights to the imagery surrounding an event? Well, it's the owner of the event. They ultimately should have control to like the intellectual property of their race. There is a level of that at some point, and it's not across the whole sport, but like at some point they could exercise that right. Because they've put in a lot of work to build up whatever they've built. If it's a brand or a media or a sport, And like NFL, NBA, like they have the rights to their stuff. Like, am I wrong on this?
No, you're right. Yeah, there's that whole, you need the express written consent of insert
Yeah.
link here to repurpose, rebroadcast, any of those things. Yep.
And it's I mean, there is a truth to that. And so like, you know, I've always obtained permission from Laz, from the event director. The year that I carried a GoPro on course, he asked for volunteers. Like, he actually solicited the field. I was not planning on doing it, but I just volunteered. I said, yeah, I'm pretty experienced carrying a GoPro. I think I could do it. I think it hurt my race that year, having to deal with it, and I wouldn't want to do it again. But the runners of the race protested a bit and said, we don't want runners with GoPro footage from the course. Like, they thought it was an unfair advantage that, say, like, I could just go back and look at all that footage again and create like a loop and put it like in front of me when I'm going to bed. So, yeah, I basically, like, now you can't carry a camera on course. Like, that was a point in time, and now it can't happen anymore. So anyways, moving ahead to like maybe like the media end of things, like, it's pretty well known, I think, amongst the participants of the race that like any media needs to obtain permission to film the Barkley. And then as part of that, there's like a code of conduct for the media, like, where are you allowed to film? And there's like specific areas, and those areas change from year to year. Sometimes you're allowed to film certain areas, sometimes you're not. Sometimes certain people get special permission for some reason based upon the project they're doing. But like, I don't make those rules. I just have to live by them if I want to participate in the race. So like, if I did things that violated that, I would not be invited back. So I have an incentive to follow them. As it goes for the broader community, the reason I don't know all the reasons that this event organizer has for the things that he does with his race. Like, I really am not privy to all of them. Permitting things, the race has been, I think the race is older than I am. So I don't know all the things that this specific director has gone through in his career of putting on this event. I know the race has almost been threatened to even exist several times due to various things. Like, it might cease to exist because of a violation of some kind. So it's like a broad level thing just on media in general, that maybe could be applicable to a scenario like this. But I think it kind of comes down to the fact that, you know, event director determined that this was not in line with obtaining permission to film the event, and asked this person to take down the footage. And that was complied with. So I think that's good. And I don't know what's going to happen next. You know, I do know that there could be some consequences that like the whole Barkley field will have to deal with for this, that I'm not very happy about, but it is what it is. And I'm not going to get into all that right now, but yeah, like if someone part of the, like, if obtained a media pass this year, there was like 2 specific places where they were allowed to film. That was in camp, it was at the fire tower, and like nowhere else was allowed. And I don't know what more we need to cover, really. I know there is a certain argument that like there's open trails in the park, and someone might feel like they should be able to film there. And like, I'm not going to get into that. I mean, that's like a different discussion, but I just think like, I think it's important to respect the event organizers, and maybe that's me speaking as one, but I think it's important that we respect the race organizers here, because it ultimately shows respect for the field and the sport. And I think it's just, you know, it's just important to do. That's my perspective, and that's how I feel about it. And I will also say, like, I'm not going to try and say negative things about the person that did the video and the filming. Like, seems like I don't know him personally. I did see him out on course a couple times. I think there was a couple comments that I like didn't say hi or something. I was in the pain cave on loop 2, and all I wanted to do was catch up to those fast women that were way ahead of me, and I was in one of my lowest points. So sorry I wasn't more chipper. But yeah, I mean, seems like a really nice guy, really stoked about the sport, and like I want nothing but to encourage other content creators, other people that love the sport and want to share the stoke of the sport. Like I want to fully help foster that in any way. I think it's the lifeblood, honestly, of the growth of the sport, is having people sharing their experiences, people of all backgrounds and all perspectives. I think it's all important. And I think I want more of it. Especially at my events, I welcome people to come and film and share experiences. But then you start to think about, when I do start to think about Black Canyon and Javelina, where it's like higher profile and I've got multiple media teams, and I like that, imagine it does become more complicated, and we're talking about drones, like multiple drones in the air, and we're talking about it creates a level of complexity, and something like the Barkley, which is now so high profile. Imagining a scenario where a bunch of people just want to come out on public park trails and film the event for the respective audiences. If the date was published, it could become an experience that is not sought out. I don't want to go to the Barkley to be filmed a bunch. I honestly don't care about any of the filming. I just want to do the challenge. If there was zero media attention and no one cared about the Barkley tomorrow, I would still want to do it. That to me doesn't matter. I love it for the challenge of what it is, for being able to play in the forest and hunt for books and run really steep hills and go through crazy weather. The challenge of this impossible to finish race, those are the things that always drew me to the Barkley. When I first heard about it in maybe 2007, and I finally got in 2014, those are the things that drives me for the Barkley. And I don't need, any media attention around it. Yeah, it's cool that it's there, but if that all went away tomorrow, I would still want to run it, and I would still want to train harder than ever to try and finish that thing next year. So that's just kind of my honest reflection. I just want to stress that, I'm not trying to say bad things about anyone. I'm just trying to offer a perspective, and, yeah, hopefully that's coming across okay. I don't know.
No, I mean, I think it's fairly coherent. The one thing that I'll mention, as somebody who obviously has never been to Barkley and has no intention of ever actually running the event, but we've obviously done media at other events, including Western states. One thing that I don't think a lot of people know from official media teams is we're not allowed, and we're specifically instructed to not talk to competitors as it's happening. So our job is to complete fly on the wall, bird in the tree, whatever analogy you want to use. And so if somebody asks us how far to the next person, how far to the next aid station, all those sorts of things that just runners tend to do with each other as they're passing someone on course, we literally can't answer the question. I was filming a descent, that last road mile down to the finish line at Placer High, and you come across the bridge and you're supposed to turn left for that last downhill to take you to the track. And the runner's going, and they don't know whether to turn left or right. And they look at me which way do I go? They're getting hunted, and I can't say anything. I'm just the camera, I'm literally not allowed to say anything.
The wrong way.
Exactly. And then I'm well, do I stand here at this junction because the next person's going to those are the sorts of things that when you're officially a part of a media outlet for these larger races, you're explicitly told to not address the runners whatsoever. So, I mean, obviously it makes it awkward if you're someone who, if it's someone you know, someone who's maybe a larger personality, you know, someone that you follow and just appreciate what they do for the sport, but you just can't engage with them. So that's also a thing that comes into play. So if you happen to be running a race and you see a media person who doesn't acknowledge your presence and you say hi and they just like don't say anything, they're not being a dick. It's just literally what they're told to do is to not respond or to assist in any way. Obviously, medical emergency, different ballgame. But in terms of the normal course of action, we're just not allowed to do any of those sorts of things. So I also want to put that out there because I think at some point someone had said like, you know, not acknowledging and saying hello. It's like, well, we, like as media folks, we're not supposed to be saying anything anyway. So I can say for us specifically in a race environment, like we typically, that's how we think. So just that's
yeah. Like I tried to. Yeah, I mean, this is a race that's supposed to be like self-sufficiency and yeah, it says it evolves over the years and I personally don't know all the reasons like why, you know, why I guess this specific scenario was like so important to have the video taken down. Like, I'm just not privy to that. So I'm kind of like everyone else, on that part of it.
For sure. Hey, but yeah, I think you said it well. And I will concur that any folks who are out there trying to amplify the sport and give different perspectives, you know, we need more of that. You know, whether you are a quote unquote small influencer, if you are on Instagram, you have 100 followers, but you're out there exploring trails for the first time all the way to like a Des or a Shalane Flanagan, who's like high profile road athlete potentially making their move to the trails. Like we need all of these folks. And so obviously it's a community. So there's gonna be times where, you know, we have to navigate certain things, but yes, please bring all of the content. We're all, you know, if you're training in the winter on a treadmill, you will take any video that's made of quality and has something unique, value add to your life. So please continue to bring those and continue to bring that energy here to the pod. Like that's sort of like, that's part of why we do what we do. Obviously this is just a chance for me and Jamil to catch up, and bring you all into that. But it's the engagement with you all. Like there are folks who DM regularly now to be like, heard this on the pod. Like I have thoughts, here you go. Which is cool. Like that's how this grows into a sustainable ecosystem.
Well, I just want to stress like how much I think we all love this community and like how, and like this other content creator that was out there, like loves this community so much. And like anyone else out there who's like commenting about this scenario and like, there's a lot of passion clearly. And I hate to have it look like there's like two sides and like that is like creating this, like, it literally feels like YouTube drama is like, here at the sport and it's like, no, please don't do it. Like I want like a healthy, happy community at the end of the day. And this is just like this, for me, it's frustrating because I can't like fix this whole situation. Like all I can do right now is like, what I'm doing is just like honestly sharing my perspective as, you know, and I'm really wrapped up in this one because like, I'm in like all sides of this because I've filmed at the Barkley, so I've like had the opportunity to like have my footage out there and like some areas on the course that like you would think, how is this even legal? It's like, well, because like I sent the video and got approved, but then now it's no longer allowed. And it's like, I get how frustrating that is. And it's a complex thing. And that's how these situations are sometimes. I'm also a participant and I'm hearing that there could be some consequences from this situation that could affect my future with the Barkley. And that is frustrating too. So I'm feeling that. And like, there's a lot of emotions. So like, I wish we could all just come together. Cause like my experience coming away from the Barkley 2021 and I wasn't privy to all like what was going on inside Frozen Head State Park. Was just so amazing and positive, and like the community, like the actual people that were there participating, just inspiring. And if if nothing else, like I'm just trying to, man, if I can bring that feeling out and share it with people beyond that they didn't get the chance to be there. I mean, so many inspiring people that train their butts off and that I look up to now. And I think we all see it in our local communities too. There's so many amazing local trail and running communities out there, and there's amazing things happening all over the country, all over the world. I think that's the amazing part of it. And we can all experience that, even like a piece of the Barkley. And I only go to the Barkley once a year, and then I do all kinds of other things in the sport the rest of the year, you know? And that's kind of what it's all about is community. It's pushing ourselves and it's trying to get better. And that's my takeaway, I guess. And I'm sorry, I wasn't able to read the chat during this whole thing. So just trying to focus on the message. I know there was a lot. So, I mean, who knows if it was good or bad, but
all right. Well, I think that means it's now free for all time in the live chat.
Yeah.
So whatever Barkley or other questions, I suppose, feel free to drop those live in the chat. If you're listening to this again after the fact in recorded form on your podcatcher of choice, hop on over to the Mountain Outpost YouTube channel. You can join us live, or you can read the chat after the fact, or drop a comment, and we'll read those and potentially address it next week. So as those are rolling in, let's take a brief aside. You mentioned that you went for a hike on Sunday, and I've seen you sort of gotten out the door the past couple of days. Aravaipa Virtual is doing the Raised by Rams challenge, and you have your Good Morning Ramerica.
Ramerica? I don't know.
Ramerica? Oh, on that, are you basically, do I have a chance of beating you this week? I guess is really.
On any of the different days? Or like, okay.
Or just in general, because like there's specific challenges to beat Jam, and then there's you as a person this week who hopefully is broken enough for me to give me a chance.
Oh,
so,
I'm broken, man. I'm broken. So you're going to be good. I mean, I did like 1,800 yesterday, and I was feeling great. And then my Achilles is like, I tried to go out today, and I was like, no, it's not happening. You'll have a chance to beat me. I kind of modeled, I'm giving people like daily challenges based upon my peak week of training for Barkley. So, that was from a month ago. So I'm like revealing that each morning on this little news show I'm doing, that kind of recaps what happened the previous day in the challenge, just trying to, get that community going. And, but you got your birthday month of action. Where's the status on this? We got to get a little check-in, and then we'll jump over to the chat room for
you know what? Let me pull it up here. I got super behind schedule across like all metrics. We hosted, obviously, I think I mentioned in the last vlog that I posted, track season / cross country season has officially started. So that's at least 2 hours of my day dedicated to the kids right there. And then we hosted our first track meet. It's the only one that we have to physically own, but when you're bringing a bunch of other schools onto your campus, there's a whole host of ways that, we were trying to make that a COVID safe event, plus make it just like generally hospitable. It was pouring rain the entire day. So like that just screwed up my whole training in the middle of the week, both in preparation for that and then just being exhausted from, standing in the cold and squatting and trying to like squeegee out a damn discus ring by hand. So super behind. But as of now, I went into this week, I think I needed like 17,000 feet of climbing to get to 33,000. So I had like 10 days to do that, which, it's absurd for me. And then I still had like 100 miles to run.
Oh my God.
Like 135 miles to bike, and then apparently still throw down that 200 meter sub 33 when I get a chance. I did do a track workout last week, and I ran some
Oh, don't pause out on us. Don't pause out. Don't do it. Oh no. Come back. We might have lost him. All right. In the meantime, I'm going to go to the chat, and we did lose him. We'll try and bring him back in. Sorry, folks. I did see in the chat here. I'm going to jump back into it. Let's see here. Glenn De Nicola, what shoes did you wear? Did you change after loop 1? Yeah. So I wore actually a prototype shoe of the new Solomon Ultra Glide on Loop 1, and then I switched to the Ultra Pro for Loop 2. I think it was a pretty good choice overall. I've got a couple pieces of feedback for the Ultra Glide as far as it pertains to Barkley, but overall, pretty solid shoe. Nathan Enns asks, was it weird not having Robbins there this year? Definitely. I mean, not only Gary, but Johann Steen and Tomo and Carl Saab. I mean, so many strong veterans just didn't show up just due to international. So it was definitely weird, definitely different. I wish there was more of the normal crowd there, but we'll just see. Yeah, let me know if you guys have any additional questions. We'll hopefully get back Schuyler into the chat. He can tell us a little bit more about his birthday month of action and close down the chat here. Let's see here. Hey, yep. Okay, he's back. Let me pop him back in. Good, because I was losing the crowd real quick here. Oh, where'd you go? I thought I got you back. That should do it. Maybe. Oh, he's gone again. This is great. Let's see. He's pretending to be frozen. We're aware how rough the virgins were having it. You guys are great. I don't know why he keeps cutting out. This is not good. All right, I'm going to scroll up. If you guys have any additional questions about Barkley or anything, please let me know. Hey. Really? The OBS stuff? Oh.
We disconnected.
Oh, there we go. I think you're back now.
Okay. Woo. I got kicked off my own pod. That's cool. I don't even know where we were at. I heard you start saying don't pause on me again, so I don't know when you lost me. But moral of the story is it's gonna be a wild week. It's gonna be an absolutely wild week. We have another track meet tomorrow, which is gonna jam things up from a scheduling standpoint. And we have a cross country meet Saturday. This season is so damn jam packed. It's a mess. Like, it's just, hey, you got 7 weeks to run 3 cross country races and like 6 track meets just jammed in, and you didn't get to condition these kids ahead of time at all. So yeah, it's a balancing act, but I got like 4,800 feet of climbing in the past 2 days. So we're making progress on the climbing thing. I think that's going to be the hardest one of the 3 to get. Yeah, I got to average like 10 miles a day and 2,100 feet of climbing or something weird like that.
Come on, you got it. You can do it.
It's doable. Yeah, it's just strictly I still also have a day job and all those things. So it like daylight's a thing, and like I don't live with hills in the backyard. So yeah,
and a vert treadmill in your living room.
And I do not have a vert treadmill. We got that Peloton though. So Skizzle Fresh on the Peloton, add me, and we'll probably not do classes. I don't do many classes, but I will say I have enjoyed that significantly more than I thought I would. So hopefully I can make it more of a regular thing. But okay, cool. Whatever. Nobody cares about this. We're fine.
What's that?
So nobody cares about what I'm doing this month. Let's get to the chat.
Yeah, we do. And we're definitely going to check in next week because we're still going to be in March, right? So we'll be like, it's going to be the final push.
I literally have 1 day left.
Be like the whole show next week pretty much will be.
Oh, God. Please don't. I'll literally do it on the Peloton like the entire time. Just be like, well, I got like 78 miles to go. Like, here's me sweating aggressively because that's
we just do the whole show on the Peloton. It'd be great.
People would hate me so much. That'd be like, I make a lot of jokes about being an influencer, and like obviously like that Nathan photo shoot really elevated my IG model status. So like shout out. But if I start doing Peloton photo things where I'm like, like on my toes in the pedals and flexing, like please kick me off this channel. That's a bridge too far. Check the chat. What's going on? What do people want to talk about?
Did you and Courtney D compare notes on shorts? Funny thing enough, Courtney was in pants the whole time, so that's kind of a bummer. And I need to get a pair of her longer shorts. I mean, Solomon needs to just probably make that as a like purchasable item to the public. That would be a smart move because I think those would fly off the shelves. Mitchell McLaughlin, how much did the one crew allotment affect the race? Have watched documentaries of the Barkley in the past. Seems like crews are an important part. I think it was an impact for sure. I mean, Courtney didn't even have a single crew. Kevin didn't have a COVID passport, so he didn't come. So she was just on her own, which was impressive. I had one crew. I think, I mean, everyone deals with it. I don't know that it's necessary to have a big crew or even a crew at all to do well at the Barkley. And once people start dropping out, they tend to help others. I think if we would have seen more people get to that fun run and beyond, then the whole camp would have just rallied behind them and helped. And then you've got a bunch of experienced Barkley people helping. So I think, yeah, that's, I don't know how much it really affected it. Charlie Seymour, new Era Viper race coming up. Yeah, we just announced the Pinal Peak 50K is launching May 29th. It's going to be awesome. Point to point from the town of Miami to Globe. So 2 historic mining towns. You're going to climb to the top of a 7,800-foot peak and then run back down to the other one. Yes. Nacho Runner, Barkley 2022 for you. I'm going to apply. I'm going to train for it as if I'm going to get in, and we'll just have to see beyond that.
See, but now we're actually going to have to hold you accountable to making you train for it accordingly. So.
Oh, yeah. Well, I definitely want to. 10 Junk Miles, shout out. I will also want to say I love having all these shows in my podcast feed, because although I'm up late lawyering tonight, my preference is to listen to your stuff on my runs. So thanks. That's awesome. And 10 Junk Miles just joined our Patreon, so appreciate the support. Are AZ numbers still trending in the right direction for Cocodona? They actually are. So Coconino County, first off, announced that, I think last week they announced that 18 and up were eligible for the vaccine. And then all of Arizona, I think now, is 16 and up for the whole state, eligible for the vaccine, either today or within the next few days. Coconino County numbers, we are now in the moderate category. So events actually can be held up to a certain level. So we're in the right phase where the race could happen today. And I think it's only going to hopefully only get better. Should we be concerned that numbers isn't in the chat tonight? Good one.
Damn. Yeah. Oh, also that does remind me though, I got to shout out Mr. Jim Rooney, because I'm assuming he's in the chat. Had a hell of a week. He got like flooded into his town, I guess.
Oh, really?
I don't know what they actually call it down in Australia. So like he literally has not been able to get out of his neighborhood, and they're doing it. Their stores,
Jim,
based on his Instagram, looks like it did like right when everything shut down for COVID, like just like things are bare. So
wow.
So if he's in the chat, thanks for spending time with us.
He was the most recent comment. He says sneaky product placement, Skizzle Fresh, on sipping the goo water bottle.
This is actually just like a huge Hydro Flask. I got mini stickers. Yeah, USATF, Squirrel's Nut Butter, shout out. I got a random Under Armour sticker. I got the Tin Man Elite sticker because I know Jamil loves when I hype them up. And then Goo and Rabbit. So I'm just going to be over here.
Alan Stark says, heard Liz Canty on the Adventure Jogger pod today. Ooh, I need to listen to that. Complimented you on your teaching and good discussion of how you guys work together. Sweet. Patrick Lavin, have you guys done anything that tops the Manitou incline for vert gains? the Avalanche Chute in Silverton, Colorado. That's my answer.
That's what
Any
you've done.
question.
Yeah. No, that's
like
that's
the
a
mic.
mess.
That's the mic drop, I guess.
I got to get back out to the incline. Yeah, that video that I posted when I did it, obviously I had no idea what the hell I was signing up for. And I probably wasn't in that great a shape. So I'm hoping that sometime this summer, I'll find my way out there again and can take another crack at lowering my time. Because forever, Joe Gray should be worried about my name coming up that Strava leaderboard. Just going to call my shot. I'm here to stir the pot. Or what was it? Boil the water? Y'all.
That sounds like just do all the things. Yeah.
I'm just gonna,
And
put
maybe
the frog in the pot and leap it. I don't know.
Maybe we'll close it out with this one. Rally Racing 72. Are you doing another mystery drop bag challenge soon? That's the look. Well,
listen, there are not enough supplements and like kombuchas that I can drink to prepare myself for that hellscape again. But then again, I never get a say in what the challenges are, so I can't talk on this one. In the middle of Cocodona, that's gonna be it. You know what? Here's what's gonna happen. I will put Jamil's drop bags out for him along the Cocodona course, and he won't get a say in it whatsoever. Whatever's there, I'll just make him.
You'll pack my bags.
Yeah,
all
that
right.
could be fun.
This sounds like a good time.
What's the worst that could happen over the course of 250 something?
A lot of worse. A lot of worse. Maybe we'll wind it down with that. Thank you guys so much. We're kind of like at the limit of our podcast length right now. So
also apparently my bandwidth. I apologize.
Yeah.
So.
Apparently the tech is mad. The tech gods are mad tonight. Mitchell says, I'd love to see more reaction videos. That'd be good.
That
cool.
A reasonable request. So all the normal things we are supposed to tell you. All the normal
things. So subscribe to the channel. You guys are doing a great job of subscribing because we're getting a slow, consistent growth to the subscribers of this channel. It's been great. It's been great seeing the Run Flat Stay Low episodes coming back. If you guys didn't catch that, Schuyler in his latest one, he did his 33-mile birthday run across the Bay Skyline Trail? Bay Ridge Skyline Trail.
Which I teased on the pod, and that's what happened. 33 for 33. So it was a good time.
Yeah.
It's a good time.
So you can check out how that went for him. And you had a little bit of a false start there.
Yeah. Listen, what had happened was the way that I screwed it up literally in the first 300 meters. So whatever, we got the job done, and I made it to practice on time. So,
Jem, quick update from Jem. There's only one way in and out of my town, and we're flooded. I haven't been able to go to work. They have been flying in essential supplies via helicopter, but not enough. Man, take care out there, Jem. I'm going to have to follow up on that. I missed that in all the hustle, the traveling. So wishing you the best out there, and hopefully that floodwaters recede soon. All right. So yeah, you can also catch the podcast. I'm like, where are we at? Catch the podcast on all podcasting platforms. We should be up to date on a normal basis now. So you guys, if you want to catch this in audio format and circle back on that, we appreciate it. Other than that, we'll be here next week. At the correct time, because I now know for me it's 6 p.m. instead of 7 p.m., which is exciting. Let's see if there's anything else going on so that I can shout out that's happening. I'm jumping on a Clubhouse Friday morning, 7 a.m. Arizona time. It's these like 3 runners from Hong Kong. It's called just follow me on social media to find out details, but there's like the trail running house, I think, on Clubhouse. We're going to talk about Barkley more. So if you haven't had enough, which I'm sure you probably have at this point, you can also check it out there. Other than that, hopefully Schuyler and I will be reuniting soon for some sort of a run or something. Challenge. It'd be great.
Details forthcoming. So thank you all for joining us tonight, or whenever you listen to this. We'll catch you same time, same place, different time. The real time, same place next Tuesday. Have a wonderful rest of your week, and we'll catch you guys later.
All right. See ya.